Hey guys, we are now joined by the two brothers responsible for Dwarf Fortress, Tarn and Zach. What brings you guys all the way out to Iceland for FanFest?
So the Eve got into the MoMA, right, the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and we're one of their MoMA buddies. We were all
Congratulations, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah, completely unexpected. And so they had a panel here discussing video games and art and so on. They had the curator of the museum come out here. They had Adam Saltzman from Cannibalt came out here. And we just sat and chatted with a local Icelandic television personality, Goder. And yes, he was really into the art stuff, and the curator was into the art. So it was way over my head.
What does it feel like to be suddenly made an artist? Is the question.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to be suddenly made an artist?
Yeah, I didn't feel like an artist or whatever. It was just out of the blue honor. I mean, I was always we just had this website giving away the game and so on, and people playing the video game, and we just kind of were writing it, having fun with people, and then all of a sudden they're like, "You're an artist now," or whatever. It's like, all right.
It's just this thing you do. It's not like we're gonna go make an art project and then get awards for it.
We had been working on it for, say, a game like it or whatever for like 15 years before we even put anything on the internet, and then for another 5 years of that, we worked in like complete obscurity. With like 100 people tops ever, like unique visitors for 5 years or whatever, and then after that. The Dwarf Fortress became, has a little community of people, and never really. We were just video game makers. We made video games for ourselves, made them for people after that. After you have fans that are like, I can't play your game because the interface is so horrible. We make it a little better, and they can play it a little bit, and then just enough to keep going, right? And just enough to put food on the table, and now, now we've got this going on, and they flew us out to Iceland or whatever. I hadn't been out of the country for 10 years, It's just like, just out of the blue.
It seems like actually that Dwarf Fortress and EVE Online have some commonality in that you don't want to make too many sweeping changes to make it more attractive to a larger audience just for that larger audience. You want to be true to the design that the creators are happy with, that the audience is happy with, but you don't want to swing too far in one direction just because having more players means that your game is better for some reason.
Yeah, we don't care about expanding the audience at all. Now, and EVE has an extra. I mean, they have a more difficult problem than we do because they have a subscriber base in this persistent universe, and if they change the mechanics wrong, it's gonna. I mean, people have invested years into a single character, whereas a Dwarf Fortress world, create it, destroy it, throw it away. So we can afford to tack right or tack left as we feel like, or some based on community suggestions, that kind of thing, which the EVE people also do. They're very responsive to their community, but they have a much more dangerous game to play than we do with community interaction and so on. So we're fortunate in that regard, but we also don't have giant fan fests and so on. So it's a mixed bag, but it's all cool. I mean, all of this is cool, and everything that's going on.
How do you guys deal with community interaction? Like, how do you guys respond to that stuff? Or do you find yourself like not wanting to look at too much of it to make sure that you're continuing to make the game and evolve it the way you want to do it?
It's all about the forums that we're constantly like reading people's suggestions and their the bugs that they report and everything. We would be completely sunk if it wasn't for the input of our fans.
You guys have been working on this for how many years now?
11. The first 2 were on and off, but since 2002.
What do you guys think is the appeal for people when they play this game? And do you think it is similar to the reason that you guys find it satisfying to make it?
I think it's quite different sometimes. The person that built the giant computer, like an actual calculator with registers, memory registers, and used drawbridges for the 7-segment display and made it add and subtract, they get something different out of the game than what I get. I mean, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It's just, I think there's a lot of room for people. There's people like storytelling. There's people that like simulation, people like mega projects. And some people just like to read the legends without really playing the game or just listening to the stories that people do. Some people use it as a community interaction. I mean, we didn't know a thing about multiplayer games at all. And people use Dwarf Fortress as a multiplayer game when they pass their fortresses around and expand them year by year. One person will take a turn, then another person will take a turn, and then they'll write a story and put it online and so on. It's very different than maybe how we approach it. But I think the core of of understanding it as a we actually did a little forum poll. It was a very informal, and I don't even think we did it. Someone else did it, but it was people wanted they treat it as more or less a simulation game now, kind of a sandboxy simulation game, but they all have their eyes on the stories, the narrative ability that we're kind of promising to add in over time. You have some of that now. The dwarves can kind of seem like little people sometimes, but it's not. There's just not enough. I mean, it's strange to say, but there's not enough mechanics in yet. It's just not enough.
I don't think that's a common complaint when I hear people talk about Dwarf Fortress.
But to get where we want to go, to get something like so that you'd see a kind of schlocky B narrative in there instead of just disparate parts. We're not there yet, but it's getting much closer, and each release will bring us closer, and I think people will be very happy. And then I think we'll all kind of be on the same page, more or less there when it's doing that, because a lot of people are looking forward to that ability.
Do you have a sort of end goal in mind for development, or would you be just as happy just working on this forever?
We have to keep, we'll sink or swim, and we just have to keep going. That's right.
Do you have like no ambitions of making games other than Dwarf Fortress, or do you find that you can kind of get all of your ideas into Dwarf Fortress that you find interesting?
We were thinking about. We had other projects that were just as large as Dwarf Fortress. We were thinking we would make games that were just as that we could create at the same time. But lately, it's been more. Or we were having the idea maybe release something that's not as big, or we did have other games in mind, but
it seems like, with the amount of level and the amount of systems you guys are putting into Dwarf Fortress, it's actually similar to when I talk to fans here who play EVE Online, where the game they play is EVE Online, right? Like maybe they dip into other games a little bit, but if you're truly going to be a high-level EVE player, you have to put all of your time into that, and it sounds pretty similar to like where you guys maybe have some other ideas for other games, but to get Dwarf Fortress where you want it to go, it requires that deep time investment.
Yeah, programming Dwarf Fortress is like playing EVE Online. That's right. So it is a massive time investment. We have side projects, things that we work on, but nothing. I mean, we had released 15 or 20 really, really crappy games. The only one that ever had any kind of audience at all were Liberal Crime Squad and, say, World War I Medic. Someone actually put World War I Medic on a CD in a magazine in like 2003. It was just totally at random, and he was like, I'm the drunk intern, and I get to put whatever I want on the CD, and this is what I'm doing this week, or whatever. And it was just this random game that we made in a couple days. But it stopped with Dwarf Fortress. We put Dwarf Fortress out in 2006, and aside from some side projects that were related to Dwarf Fortress, nothing. There are no releases for 7 years other than Dwarf Fortress, and we've just got so many things sitting on the back burner, just sitting there, because you can't get all of your ideas into the generic fantasy game because there's like other eras and stuff and just completely different things that have nothing to do with standard fantasy. And it's not. I'm not going to complain. It's not a downer at all, right? But it's
you got to come to terms with the fact that there's never going to be another Dwarf Fortress that's coming out of us anyway. So,
what do you guys play when you have you want to blow off some steam in between programming or working on the game?
I hate to say it, but I still play like Civilization 4.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be embarrassed about that. What draws you back to Civ 4?
Oh, those have been the games that I played since I was a little kid, and that's just. But yeah, I mean, it's just like playing chess or something like that. It's just something that I come back to.
The latest one I was doing was Dark Souls. It's actually like console. I didn't play it on the PC. I played like PlayStation 3 games and stuff. I had fun with that one. Dark Souls was the latest game I had a lot of fun with. I had fun with like older thing like Red Faction Guerrilla when that came out. And so it's things that are very different from Dwarf Fortress, right? Things that don't kind of enter into the sphere that we're interested, because then you just kind of get disappointed with what's going on and want to go work on your game again. It's kind of what drove us into games in the first place when we had like Ultima 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, not so much, 9 I didn't even think about playing, and we weren't into multiplayer stuff. So it's kind of these games that we were interested in stopped going where we thought they would go. I mean, it's just different directions we're taking and so on. And so we kind of have our own way of thinking about a fantasy game. And so the games that we play are these, just completely unrelated console games. And we always had a Nintendo as a kid. We're playing things like just Mario Brother type games, Zelda, and all that kind of thing. So we still have fun with consoles. It's not normally what people expect, but it's as long as it's not multiplayer, then I mean, I just can't. I just don't have it in me. I don't know why. Zach plays more multiplayer games.
Yeah, I did play World War II online for a while. That was like the one MMO that I played other than Eve, and it was
Well, chess is
on chess. Yes, that's my latest thing is Chess World. So played like 60 chess games a day, or chess moves and 60 different chess games a day, and that's kind of like what I do for fun now on the computer.
What did you like about Dark Souls? What did you find appealing about it?
I like the ambiance was cool. Just that I liked. I mean, I'm not so much a fan of hard. I mean, people say it's like they're bringing back Nintendo hard games or whatever, but it's. I mean, that wasn't so much to me. I just like the kind of chill, go through the. I just think they did a really good job with atmosphere. I like atmosphere. It's like Ultima Underworld's one of my favorite games, just because they trap you in there in the dungeon, and you have to go find food or whatever, and you have to make it for yourself, and you feel like you're stuck in there. It was like one of the first kind of 3D textured games like that, and it wasn't the same atmosphere, but it was an atmospheric thing, and the combat was fun. I mean, it was more fun than say Skyrim or something like that. For us, it felt more you dodged around more or whatever. It was just kind of fun, running around whacking stuff and dying all the time.
So what's in the immediate future for Dwarf Fortress? Like, is there a big milestone you guys are headed to? Like, what's in like the next couple of months for the game?
More work on the release, which will come some months in the future. We've got all kinds of. We're finally activating the world for people to kind of know how it works. You generate a world, and then you start playing in it, but the world generation process and the play process were quite separate from each other. You had the historical towns fighting each other and building up and founding new towns and so on, and then after that you started making dwarf fortresses and people started dying, but no one was born, right? There was just in your fortress, people were born, getting married and all that kind of thing, but in the larger world it was just slow decay into nothingness. It was like heat death of the universe or whatever, the whole thing. And now we got birth, marriages, people running around, people dying of old age, but now they're replaced. And we've got armies moving around, sacking cities. We've done maps for all of the sites, so you can climb up giant trees now and climb and jump when you're running around in the RPG mode, and stealth mechanics, all kinds of stuff. There's a whole
really stealth mechanics,
cones and everything, peripheral vision, making noises, seeing little noise indicators pop off on the screen and stuff, and just walking up, whacking someone in the back of the head. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for your time, guys. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to chat with us.